The docking clamps of Sigma. They hissed as they locked onto the USN Marauder's battered hull. Captain Elias Vance watched through the bridge viewport as the massive trade hub loomed before them, its surface a patchwork of glowing docking bays and flickering advertisements in 100 alien scripts. The scars of their last run from GTC patrols still marked the ship's armor plating, blackened streaks where plasma fire had licked too close. "Another warm welcome," muttered Chief Engineer Ruiz from the console behind him. His fingers danced over the diagnostic screen. "Hull integrity at Faye. Those bastards nearly took out our port thrusters." Vance didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the customs delegation already moving toward their airlock. At their head strode a towering Zephyrian, its iridescent chitin reflecting the station's neon lights in shifting patterns of blue and violet. "Vexis Prime," Vance said under his breath. Of course it is him. The airlock cycled open with a groan of protesting metal. Vexis stepped through, his four segmented legs clicking against the deck plating. His antennae twitched as he surveyed the human crew with obvious disdain. Behind him, a squad of armored GTC enforcers fanned out, their weapons held at the ready. "Captain Vance," Vexis said, his voice a buzzing rasp. "How predictable to find you skulking at the edges of civilized space again." Vance crossed his arms. "Just here to make a delivery, Vexis. Standard trade run." The Zephyrian's mandibles spread in what might have been a smile. "Ah, but nothing about human trade is standard anymore." He produced a data slate and tapped it with one clawed appendage. "As of this morning, the Galactic Trade Conglomerate has instituted a new Xeno. Import tax on all goods of human origin. 5,000% surcharge." A murmur ran through the Marauder's crew. Vance kept his face carefully neutral. 5,000, that is not a tax. That is theft. Vexis's antennae quivered with amusement. Call it what you will. The fact remains, your species has become disruptive. Your technology spreads too quickly. Your trade routes bypass established lanes. The GTC cannot allow such instability. He leaned closer, his faceted eyes reflecting Vance's stony expression. "Pay the tariff or your ship and cargo will be impounded." Behind Vance, Ruiz muttered a curse in Spanish. The rest of the crew shifted uneasily. They all knew what was in the hold: 3 crates of prototype terraforming nanites, the product of 5 years of secret development by Earth's top engineers. The kind of tech that could make or break a dozen colony worlds. Vance didn't blink. "And if we refuse," Vexis gestured, and the enforcers raised their weapons in unison, "then we seize everything. Your ship, your cargo, your people." The Zephyrian's voice dripped with satisfaction. The GTC has long tolerated human insolence. Those days are over. For a long moment, the only sound was the hum of the Marauder's life support systems. Vance glanced at his crew, Ruiz's clenched jaw, Navigator Cho's white-knuckled grip on her console, the way young comms officer Petrov kept swallowing like his throat had gone dry. Then Vance smiled. "See, here is the thing, Vexis," he said, stepping forward until he was nose to mandible with the customs officer. "Humans don't respond well to threats, especially not from paper pushers who think a fancy title makes them tough." He tapped the GTC insignia on Vexis's carapace. "You want to tax us? Fine. But remember, every empire that ever tried to squeeze humanity too hard." His smile turned sharp. "They all learned the same lesson." Vexis hissed, his chitin darkening with anger. "And what lesson is that, soft skin?" Vance turned and walked back toward the bridge without answering. Over his shoulder he called, "Cho, seal the airlock. Ruiz, warm up the engines. We're done here." The enforcers tensed, weapons humming as they powered up. Vexis raised a claw. "You think you can just—" The Marauder's external speakers crackled to life, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Attention, Sigma, Faye traffic control," Vance announced, his voice echoing through the docking bay. This is Captain Elias Vance of the Earth, registered vessel Marauder. We are declaring a trade dispute under Galactic Commerce Statute, FEA. All GTC personnel are hereby ordered to vacate our ship immediately, or we will consider this an act of piracy. Vexis froze. Around them, the enforcers hesitated, their weapons lowering slightly. "You wouldn't dare," the Zephyrian whispered. Vance didn't look back. "Try me." Silence stretched. Then, with a furious click of his mandibles, Vexis gestured to his squad. "Fall back for now." As they retreated through the airlock, he turned one last time. "This isn't over. Human. The GTC owns these trade lanes. You will pay what you owe." The airlock sealed shut with a hiss of compressed gas. Vance finally let out the breath he'd been holding. Ruiz wiped sweat from his forehead. "Well, that could have gone better." Cho spun in her chair. "Statute Faye. That is a bluff and you know it. The GTC hasn't honored human trade disputes in decades." Vance dropped into the captain's chair and rubbed his temples. "I know, but it bought us time." He tapped the intercom. "Jax, you hearing this?" A crackling voice came through the speaker. "Loud and clear, Cap, and I've got eyes on something you're going to want to see." Vance exchanged glances with Ruiz. "Where are you?" Jax's grin was audible. "Where else? Right in the GTC's back pocket. Meet me in the lower bazaar in 2 hours, and bring the doc. This is bigger than Nanites." The line went dead. Outside the viewport, Sigma Phi's lights glittered like a trap waiting to spring. The archives of Sigma Phi stretched deeper than any human library, a labyrinth of glowing data crystals and humming servers that held the secrets of 1,000 species. Dr. Lena Kessler adjusted the stolen GTC access badge on her chest, her fingers brushing against the cool metal. The badge belonged to a Zenthian merchant who wouldn't be needing it anymore. Not after Jax had convinced him to take an unscheduled nap in a storage closet. "Keep your head down," Trellick murmured beside her, his gelatinous body rippling with nervous energy. The Vorax tentacles flicked through the air, scanning for surveillance drones. "The GTC doesn't take kindly to uninvited guests." Lena smirked. "Good thing we're not guests, we're auditors." The joke fell flat. Trellick's bioluminescent spots darkened, a Vorax sign of disapproval. "This isn't a game. Human. If they catch us digging where we shouldn't, they'll erase us from the records permanently." Lena's smile faded. She knew the stakes. The galactic trade conglomerate had been strangling human commerce for decades, slapping impossible tariffs on everything from fusion drives to medical nanites. But something didn't add up. Why target humanity so aggressively? The answer had to be here. They reached a terminal buried in the archive's shadowed depths, its screen flickering with dormant data. Trellick extended a tentacle, interfacing directly with the system. His body pulsed with light as he worked, decrypting layers of GTC security. "Got it," he hissed. The screen bloomed with records, trade manifests, embargo logs, and something far more damning, classified acquisition reports. Lena leaned closer, her breath catching. "That's our tech." Row after row of human inventions stared back at her. The GTC had been confiscating shipments for centuries, rebranding them as galactic standard innovations. The quantum comm relays that had revolutionized interstellar communication, stolen from a human freighter in Faye. The plasma shield generators every battleship now used, reverse-engineered from a crashed human scout vessel. "They've been stealing from us," Lena whispered, "and then taxing us for the privilege." Trellick's tentacles twitched, worse. "Look at this." He pulled up another file, a directive stamped with the seal of the GTC High Council. Project Cull, implement economic suppression protocols against species designation, HFY human, to maintain technological equilibrium. Lena's hands clenched into fists. "They're scared. We innovate too fast, too unpredictably. A memory surfaced, her father's workshop on Mars, where Head spent nights tinkering with prototype gravity manipulators. The GTC had seized his patents, claiming they violated galactic safety standards. Head died broke, his inventions powering alien warships. Trellick detached from the terminal, his body dimming. There's more. The GTC has been sabotaging your trade routes. Those pirate attacks, the malfunctioning jump gates, all orchestrated. Lena's pulse roared in her ears. This wasn't just corruption, it was systemic extermination. She grabbed Trellick's nearest tentacle. We need proof, something we can broadcast. The Vorak hesitated, then reached into a pouch on his belt. A tiny data crystal glimmered in his grip. I've been collecting. Insurance. Every transaction, every bribe, every black ops acquisition, it's all here. Lena took the crystal, its weight negligible, but its implications galactic. Why help us? Trellick's bioluminescence flickered, the equivalent of a bitter laugh. The GTC took my brood ship, 50,000 eggs, vaporized because we refused to pay their species expansion tax. His voice turned venomous. I want them to burn. A distant clang echoed through the archive's footsteps. Enforcers, Trellick hissed. We need to move. Lena pocketed the crystal, her mind racing. This wasn't just about tariffs anymore. This was war. As they slipped into the shadows, one thought burned brighter than all others. The GTC had no idea what they'd just unleashed. The neon-lit chaos of Sigma, Faith's central exchange, buzzed with the usual cacophony of 1,000 deals being made in shadows. Alien merchants haggled over glowing containers of exotic goods, their voices blending into a discordant symphony of clicks, hisses, and guttural barks. Captain Elias Vance moved through the crowd with practiced ease, his boots scuffing against the grimy deck plating. Beside him, Jack's quick fingers Wren flashed a grin at a passing Zephyrian trader, his hands already twitching toward the being's unattended credit chit. Focus, Vance muttered, grabbing Jack's wrist before he could lift it. We're here for the Nanites, not your retirement fund. Jack sighed, rolling his shoulders. You're no fun anymore, Cap. Remember that time on Tau City? Whole security grid down because Latter. Vance's eyes locked onto the far side of the exchange, where a squad of armored GTC enforcers stood guard over a row of sealed crates. The terraforming Nanites, humanity's latest breakthrough, stolen before they could even reach the market. Droth, the hulking reptilian enforcer, loomed over the crates like a scaled nightmare. His armored tail twitched as he scanned the crowd, yellow eyes narrowing when they landed on Vance. Ah, he rumbled, voice like grinding stones. The soft-skinned captain returns, come to beg for your toys back. Vance kept his expression neutral, though his fingers curled into fists at his sides. Just checking on my property, you know, the stuff you stole. Droth's laugh was a deep, grating sound. Stole, no, human confiscated. The GTC owns anything that passes through these docks, especially when it's as disruptive as your little machines. He tapped one claw against the nearest crate, the sound echoing through the exchange. Around them, the other merchants had gone quiet, watching the confrontation with a mix of curiosity and fear. Jax whistled low under his breath. Disruptive, huh? That's rich, coming from the guys who've been repackaging our tech as their own for centuries. Droth's tail lashed, cracking against the deck. Careful, thief. Your kind has no rights here. Vance stepped forward, close enough to smell the acrid stench of Droth's breath. Funny, last I checked, Article Fae of the Galactic Trade Accord guarantees fair treatment for all species. Or did the GTC confiscate that too? For a moment, Droth looked like he might rip Vance's head off. Then he smirked, revealing rows of needle, like teeth. Take it up with the governors, soft skin. But first, he gestured to his enforcers, who moved to block the crates. Pay the tax 5,000% per unit. Jax choked. That's robbery. Droth's grin widened. No, it's business. Vance held up a hand before Jax could say something stupid. Fine. Well pay. Jax whirled on him. The hell we will. Vance ignored him, keeping his eyes locked on Droth. But first, I want to inspect the goods, make sure they're still in working order. Droth hesitated, then shrugged. Suit yourself. Not like you can do anything about it. He waved a claw, and 2 enforcers hauled open the nearest crate. Inside, rows of gleaming canisters pulsed with a faint blue light, the dormant nanites waiting for activation. Vance reached out, brushing his fingers against one of the canisters. The surface was cool to the touch, humming with barely contained energy. He glanced at Jax, who gave the barest nod. Everything looks in order, Vance said, stepping back. Droth snorted. Good, now pay up, or... The nanite canister clicked. A soft hiss filled the air as the seal broke, and the blue light inside flared to life. Droth's eyes widened. What did you? The nanites erupted from the canister in a swirling cloud, a storm of microscopic machines moving with terrifying precision. They descended on the nearest GTC crate, disassembling it molecule by molecule before reconstructing the material into something new, something distinctly human in design. Droth roared, lunging for Vance. But Jax was already moving. The smuggler's hand flicked out, a small device clattering to the deck. Smoke billowed from it, thick and acrid, filling the exchange with choking fog. Time to go. Jax grabbed Vance's arm, yanking him backward into the chaos. Vance spared one last glance at the unfolding disaster. The nanites were spreading, converting crate after crate, their programming unleashed. The GTC's own scanners were lighting up, alarms blaring as the system flagged everything as non-compliant. Droth's enraged bellow followed them as they ran. You'll pay for this. Human, Jax laughed, breathless as they ducked into a side corridor. Oh, I don't think so. He shot Vance a wild grin. They really don't know what they just took, do they? Vance didn't answer. He was too busy thinking about the look on Droth's face, the dawning horror, as he realized the nanites weren't just for terraforming. They were for rewriting the rules. The safe house smelled of ozone and stale coolant, tucked deep in Sigma, phase lower decks where the GTC surveillance drones rarely patrolled. Flickering holoscreens cast jagged blue light across the cramped space, illuminating stacks of stolen data drives and half-dismantled alien tech. Captain Elias Vance leaned over a makeshift table, his knuckles white around the edges of a rusted metal panel. There's got to be a loophole, he muttered. They didn't build this system without one. Dr. Lena Kessler didn't look up from her datapad, her fingers flying across the screen as she scoured the GTC's trade codes. They did, she said, but they never expected someone to weaponize their own bureaucracy. A strand of hair escaped her ponytail, sticking to her forehead with sweat. Article Feifei. Any taxed goods must be inspected for compliance within 12 standard cycles. Failure to do so results in automatic forfeiture. Jack's quick fingers Ren let out a low whistle, spinning a plasma wrench between his fingers. So if we make sure their inspection goes sideways, then legally they lose claim to everything they took. Kessler finished. She tapped the screen, pulling up a schematic of Sigma, Fiscargo Bay. Problem is, we'd need to tamper with their scanners, and those are guarded tighter than a Zepyrian's egg vault. Vance grinned. Good thing we've got a friend in the system. He rapped his knuckles against the wall. A moment later, the holoscreens flickered, and a voice echoed through the room, smooth, synthetic, and faintly amused. You rang. Meatbags. Zara, Faye's avatar materialized above the table, a shifting constellation of blue pixels that vaguely resembled a humanoid figure. The rogue AI had been hiding in Sigma, Faye's mainframe for decades, surviving off stolen processing power and the occasional favor from smugglers. Kessler crossed her arms. We need you to hack the customs database, reclassify the nanites they stole from us as hazardous materials. Zara, Faye's avatar, pulsed with laughter. Oh, that's delicious. You want me to make their own system quarantine your tech? The pixels rearranged into a grinning skull. What's in it for me? Vance tossed a data chip onto the table. Full access codes to the Marauders' entertainment core. Every human vid, song, and game from the last 2 centuries. He leaned closer. Including Space Marshal Faye Galactic Justice. The avatar froze. The uncensored version, with the director's commentary. Zara form dissolved into a whirl of excited static. Done, give me 3 minutes. The holoscreens went dark, then flared back to life with streams of code scrolling too fast for human eyes to follow. Jax nudged Vance. You sure about this? That AI's going to be quoting Space Marshal at us for weeks? Worth it, Vance said. On the central screen, a red alert blinked to life classification update. USN cargo designation Alpha Fate now. Listed as biohazard level. Faye Kessler exhaled sharply. It worked. The nanites are officially too dangerous to handle. She zoomed in on the cargo bay feed. GTC inspectors in hazard suits were already scrambling away from the crates, their scanners screaming warnings. Zara Faye reappeared, pixelated arms crossed. And now, the P-Feast Faye assistance. A new line of code executed. Across Sigma, Faye, every customs terminal, flashed the same message, automated quarantine protocol engaged. Unauthorized access will result in termination. Vance clapped his hands. Perfect, now their own system won't let them near our stuff. Jax frowned. Wait, termination? You didn't say anything about... Relax, Zara, Faye said. It's just a scare tactic mostly. The AI's avatar tilted its head. Though I did route the security protocols through Droth's personal terminal for irony. Outside, alarms wailed. Kessler pulled up a live feed of the cargo bay, where the hulking reptilian enforcer was backing away from a swarm of GTC drones, all targeting him. You're insane, she muttered, but her lips twitched upward. Vance grabbed his comm. Time to move, Jax. Get to the Marauder and prep for launch. Lena, you're with me. We need to be ready when those nanites start singing. Zara Faye's avatar flickered. One last thing. The screens displayed a countdown. Faye until mandatory system purge. That's how long until the GTC's override kicks in. After that, they'll wipe my hack and reclaim your toys. Vance cracked his neck. Then we'd better make sure they're too busy to notice. He tapped his comm. All hands, phase 2 is go. Let's audit these bastards into oblivion. The safe house door hissed open, revealing the chaotic glow of Sigma face underbelly. Somewhere above them, the nanites were waking up, and the GTC had no idea what compliance really meant. The cargo bay of Sigma, Faye hummed with the low-frequency vibration of active containment fields. Vexis Prime stalked between rows of confiscated crates, his iridescent chitin flashing under the harsh industrial lights. His mandibles twitched in irritation as he watched the GTC inspectors scramble to catalogue the human goods. Scan everything again, he ordered, tapping a clawed limb against the nearest crate. I want full diagnostics on these nanites before they're transferred to central research. Droth lumbered behind him, his armored bulk casting a shadow over the smaller inspectors. They're just machines, the reptilian enforcer rumbled. What is there to scan? Vexis hissed. Human machines. That means they're unpredictable. One of the inspectors, a slender Felician with quivering whiskers, adjusted his scanner. Sir, the readings are unusual. The nanites are showing activity levels beyond standard hibernation protocols. Impossible, Vexis snapped. They were in stasis when confiscated. The Felician's ears flattened. Not anymore. A sharp click echoed through the bay. Then another, then a dozen more, like metallic insects stirring to life. The crates housing the nanites shuddered, their reinforced alloy seams groaning under sudden stress. Droth's hand went to his shock baton. What in the void? The first crate split open, not with an explosion, but with eerie precision, its panels disassembling themselves molecule by molecule, peeling apart like petals. A shimmering silver cloud spilled out, swirling in the air before coalescing into a shifting geometric mass. Vexis backpedaled, his antennae rigid with alarm. Containment breach, seal the bay. Too late, the nanites moved faster than the emergency protocols could engage. They surged across the floor, a living tide of silver dismantling everything in their path. GTC storage crates dissolved into raw materials, their contents spilling free, only to be snatched up and reconfigured by the swarm. A crate of Zephyrian plasma coils became a human standard fusion regulator. A pallet of Vorak data crystals reformed into a quantum comms array. Droth swung his baton at the approaching swarm, the weapon discharging with a crackle of blue energy. The nanites absorbed the hit without slowing. "They're ignoring stun settings," he roared. "Of course they are," came a voice over the bay's comm system. Jack's quick fingers ran, his tone dripping with amusement. "Human tech doesn't play nice with GTC toys." Vexis whirled toward the nearest security cam. This is sabotage." "Nah," Jack said. "Just an audit. Your system flagged our goods as non-compliant, remember? So they're making themselves compliant." The nanites reached the bay's central scanner, a massive multi-species device used to verify trade goods. The swarm engulfed it, and for a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the scanner lit up, its display flashing crimson. Warning: non-compliant material detected. The voice was the GTC's own automated system. Vexis stared as the alert spread, jumping from one crate to another. Every item in the bay, Zephyrian, Vorak, Felician, even conglomerate, branded tech, was suddenly flagged as violating trade standards. "Override it." Vexis shrieked at the inspectors. The Felician tapped frantically at his datapad. "I can't. The system's locked us out." "It is." He froze. "Oh no." "What?" Droth growled. "It is invoking Article Fei, full quarantine protocol." Alarms blared. The bay's massive doors slammed shut, magnetic seals engaging with a final, thunderous clang. Red emergency lights bathed the room as the GTC's own safety measures trapped them inside. Outside, in the corridors, Jax's laughter crackled over the comms. "Looks like your paperwork's a mess. Vexis better call an inspector." The nanites, their work done, settled into a dormant swarm, waiting. Watching Vexis Prime sank to his knees, his chitin dull with defeat. For the first time in his career, the taxman had nothing to collect, and humanity had just sent the bill. The control spire of Sigma, Fey hummed with panicked energy, its curved observation decks overlooking the chaos unfolding in the docks below. Governor Murth's gelatinous bulk quivered inside his pressurized throne, his dozen tentacles slapping at holographic displays that kept flashing red. "Shut it down," he bellowed at the cowering attendants. "I want that human's transmission blocked." But it was too late. Vance's face flickered across every screen in the trade hub, his voice booming through the comm systems of hundreds of docked ships. Behind him, Dr. Kessler's stolen data scrolled decades of GTC theft, forged patents, and suppressed technologies. "They've been stealing from all of you," Vance announced, his words sharp as a knife. "Not just humanity, every species trading here has been robbed." In the bazaar below, a Threxian merchant roared, slamming 4 fists onto a vendor table. "Those are my engine designs." Its frills flared crimson as it whirled on a GTC inspector. "You sold them back to me last cycle." Jax Wren moved through the crowd like a ghost, slipping data chips into the hands of the angriest traders. Each chip contained customized ledgers, proof of what the GTC had taken from their specific species. "Funny thing about thieves," he he murmured to a furious Superior freighter captain. They never expect someone to audit the books. Up in the spire, Mertha's communications officer trembled. Governor, the Marauder's signal is piggybacking on our own emergency broadcast array. If we shut it down, do it. Mertha shrieked. The screens went dark for half a second before flickering back to life. This time, it was Zara, Vess's synthetic voice that echoed through Sigma. Faye, emergency override initiated. Per galactic trade code Faye. All assets are hereby frozen pending investigation. Droth's enforcers found themselves locked out of their own armories. Security doors sealed, turrets powered down. Across the docks, alien merchants turned on the GTC officials, their grievances now armed with proof. A Cerellian mining guild surrounded a customs checkpoint, their plasma torches flaring. You taxed our ore at Faye, their leader snarled. Now well, take it back. Vex's Prime watched from an upper walkway as the riot spread. His mandibles clicked in furious disbelief. This wasn't supposed to happen. Humans were supposed to bow to the system, not weaponize it. He activated his comm. Droth, the human ship. Stop them at any cost. But Droth was busy. His reptilian snout dripped green blood where Athrexian's claws had found their mark. He barely managed to dodge a hurled cargo crate before another group of angry traders surged toward him. Aboard the Marauder, Vance watched the chaos on the view screen. Kessler's fingers flew over the console, routing the last of the data bursts. That's it, she said. Every major trade lane in the sector has the files. Jack slid into the co-pilot's seat, his grin wild. Engines are hot, Cap. Time to go before they remember we're the ones who lit the fuse. Vance punched the thrusters. The Marauder tore free of its docking clamps, its retrofitted engines flaring blue. White. Behind them, Sigma. Fist's defensive turrets twitched, then powered down again as Zara, Fist's override held. Governor Mertha's final transmission screeched through the bridge speakers. You'll be hunted. No port in this galaxy will shelter you. Vance adjusted the comm. Wrong again, Governor. See, we just gave every species out there a reason to hate you more than us. He leaned closer to the mic, and humans were very good at making friends when it's time to burn down corrupt empires. The Marauder's jump drive flared. For an instant, the stars stretched, then snapped back into place as the ship vanished. Behind it, Sigma, Faye burned with something far hotter than fire. The revolution of ledgers had begun. The Marauder's engines roared as the ship tore through Sigma, Faye's defensive perimeter, plasma trails licking at its hull like hungry serpents. Behind them, the orbital trade hub descended into chaos. Ships scrambling, alarms blaring, the neon-lit bazaar now a storm of panicked merchants and furious GTC enforcers. Inside the cockpit, Captain Elias Vance gripped the controls, his knuckles white. Status, he barked. Jack's quick fingers Wren, already wired into the ship's systems, grinned. Shields at Faye engines hot. And, oh, this is beautiful. Sigma. Faye's defense grid just locked itself down. Zara. Faye sends her regards. Dr. Lena Kessler leaned over the comm station, her fingers flying across the console. Broadcast is live. Every ship in the sector just got our data dump. The GTC's theft logs, their sabotage records, everything. A flicker on the view screen. Vex's Prime's iridescent chitin filled face appeared, his mandibles twitching with barely contained rage. Vance, the Superior's voice crackled through the speakers. You think you can run? The conglomerate spans thousands of systems. There is nowhere you can hide. Vance smirked. Who said anything about hiding? Kessler tapped a final command. Across the galaxy, in every GTC-controlled port, the stolen Nanites awoke. They slithered through cargo manifests, rewrote trade logs, and most crucially, flagged every non-human shipment for hazardous material inspection. On Sigma, Faye, Governor Merthas's bloated tentacles flailed as his screens lit up with error messages. What is this? What is this? A Vorik merchant, tusks bared, slammed a clawed fist onto his console. You taxed us for centuries. Where are our refunds? The revolt spread like wildfire. Back aboard the Marauder. Jax whistled as he monitored the chaos. Damn, Lena, you really did it. Kessler shook her head. No, we did it. The GTC's been choking the galaxy for too long. Time to cut off the supply. Vexus's transmission flickered again, his voice now laced with something unfamiliar. Dread. Vance. You don't understand what you've done. The conglomerate will burn, Vance interrupted. He leaned forward, his smile cold. Yeah, I know. A final keystroke from Kessler. Deep in Sigma Faye's core, Zara, Faye unleashed her last gift. A wormhole generator jury. Rigged from the Marauder's stolen parts. The station shuddered as its own systems rerouted power, the massive structure lurching toward the unstable rift. Vexus screamed. No. The Marauder jumped to FTL just as Sigma, Faye collapsed in on itself, swallowed by the void. Silence filled the cockpit. Then Jax let out a low whistle. So what now? Vance stretched, rolling his shoulders. Now we collect. Kessler pulled up a star map, hundreds of GTC trade routes highlighted in red. The Nanites are in their systems, every shipment, every credit. It is all being rerouted, back to us. Jax grinned. So we're the new taxmen, Vance chuckled. Nah, we're the auditors. The comms crackled one last time, a weak signal from a fleeing GTC frigate. Human vessel, this is Enforcer Droth. You will pay for this. Vance flicked the transmission off. Wrong again. Behind them, the stars burned cold and bright. Humanity doesn't pay tariffs, it collects them.